Hey, what is going on, guys? I hope you guys are doing well today. My name is Elliot. I want to welcome you back to another episode of The Fragrance Well. Today's topic is going to be make a 5 fragrance collection, 5 bottle fragrance collection. This is part 2. I've already done a video about this and I thought it was time to go ahead and do another one. I think I'm going to turn this into a series because for me on any given day, what fragrances I put into this collection could change on a daily basis, but it really makes me kind of evaluate what I have in my collection and really place them in a place where these really matter to me. These are fragrances I really like to wear more frequently, and these are fragrances I would be okay with having with a smaller collection, and kind of really identify the ones that don't really fit that mold and, you know, could be potentially ones that maybe someday I might need to get rid of because they just don't inspire me to wear them as much, or I don't find them as exciting. So we're gonna talk about these 5 today right now. All right, so welcome back. And once again, 5 fragrance collection. I think it's important to think about fragrances in this way because if we're being honest, you know, we like collecting, we like having a lot of bottles, we like having a lot of options. But to be fair, you only need so many fragrances to really have a practical and useful collection, as long as you put fragrances in that collection that kind of cover your basic needs. So again, I'm gonna go over the topics again for this video. If you've seen my previous video, I'll link it in the description. I put these down into certain categories. So it's gonna be a sport fragrance, an everyday fragrance, an office fragrance, a night out fragrance, and a fragrance that can kind of work however you want it to, but it's a fragrance that you absolutely love, and one that really, you know, to me, I would say is one that's gonna kind of stand out in a way that may not necessarily work for every situation, but it's just a fragrance that you love, or it could be the simplest thing ever. So the 5th one's kind of a wild card. You can make it whatever you want it to be. So without further ado, the first fragrance is going to be in the sport category, and let me just say, it doesn't necessarily have to be a sport fragrance. I think of it more as a fragrance that does work in the gym, but also can be kind of a warmer weather fragrance as well. So this is coming from the house of Lalique. This is Encre Noir Sport. Encre Noir Sport from Lalique. This is a vetiver fragrance, but also, as you can imagine with the name saying, it has some fresher aspects to it. If you're familiar with the original Encre Noir, it is a very dark vetiver fragrance, very grassy, almost muddy even, and a woody fragrance. While this one does have those elements, but it turns that down a little bit and adds a lot of freshness, a little bit of an aquatic touch, as well as some nice citrus on it to make it a fresher, sportier, citrusy take on a originally dark fragrance. Featured notes in this are grapefruit, cypress, bergamot, provincial lavender, bourbon vetiver, Haitian vetiver, aquatic notes, nutmeg, cashmere wood, and musk. This is a fragrance I reach for the most when it comes to either wearing a fragrance to the gym or throwing on something when it's a little bit warmer out and I kind of just want to throw something on to smell nice and fresh and clean. This is not, like I said, once again, this is not your typical clean, fresh fragrance. Like I said, it's very vetiver forward, so not necessarily one for everybody, but I'm gonna put it in my list today because I really wear this and I really love it, and it is a great, somewhat unique fragrance that kind of covers this category. Not everyone is necessarily going to smell like this. If that's something that's important to you, where you want to stand out, you don't really want to smell like everybody else, consider a sporty fragrance that doesn't smell like every other sporty fragrance out there. Doesn't smell like Nautica Voyage or anything like that. Nothing against those fragrances. Just saying, you know, if you want to stand out, you're going to have to look at things that are not in the norm of what everybody else is wearing. Otherwise, you're not going to stand out. You'll smell nice, but you know, it's not necessarily going to be attention grabbing because people are going to think like, well, I've smelled something like that before. I like it, but it's nothing new. So, hey, Encre Noir Sport from Lalique, that is the sport fragrance for this 5 fragrance bottle collection. Okay, so for the next category, this is going to be the everyday wear fragrance. Pretty much a fragrance that you would just wear in really any situation. You don't really think twice about it. For me, it's going to be coming from the house of Mason Francis Kirkjohn. This is Amyris Homme, the Extrait de Parfum Concentration. Amyris Homme, Extrait de Parfum Concentration. What you're gonna get with this fragrance is you're gonna get some freshness, you're gonna get a little bit of spice, and you're also gonna get some sweetness. I absolutely love this fragrance. It's definitely one of the favorites in my collection. It also is a well-performing fragrance. So when I think every day, typically it's one you're gonna wanna spray on and maybe not have to spray anything else on later on. You kind of just want this to take care of the entire day, and it can work for a variety of situations. Like I said, this one is very fresh, has some sweetness to it and a little bit of spice, and I just love how it makes me feel. I love how invigorated it makes me feel, and I like to wear it in pretty much any situation where I want something that just smells nice and makes me happy. This one's gonna feature Amyris, Mandarin Orange, Tonka Bean, Cinnamon, Florentine Iris, Vanilla, and Saffron. There is also an eau de parfum version of this fragrance, and that one's a little more staying on the fresh and sweet side. Doesn't really have the spice. With this one, what they added was like the cinnamon to give it a spicier edge, and also just made it a little bit richer and deeper. So that's the big difference between this one and the eau de parfum. I don't own the eau de parfum, but I have smelled it. It does smell very nice. To me, this one was just a lot more interesting, but it works as a fragrance that you can pretty much wear anywhere. You could dial the sprays up or down depending on temperature or occasion, because if you spray this heavily, it can be a bit much. That cinnamon is really forward in this fragrance and might be a little too spicy for some situations. You just kind of have to be the judge of that, use some discretion. But all in all, this is a easy to wear fragrance, a very likable fragrance, and it can work for a variety of situations. That iris in there kind of smooths it out a little bit, has a nice kind of lightly floral touch. It's not really a powdery fragrance, but like I said, it is very fresh, very spicy, and the tonka bean and vanilla give a nice underlying sweetness to it. Great fragrance for everyday wear, and it's gonna work in this list. Amyris Homme Extrait de Parfum from Mason Francis Kirkjohn. Okay, so moving on to the office fragrance category, the fragrance that you primarily wear to work, but might also work for some other stuff too. But like I said, the main focus is this one is going to shine in the office. And this can obviously change depending on what your workplace environment is. For me, this is gonna be coming from the house of Christian Dior. This is Christian Dior's Dior Homme Original. Dior Homme Original, this is the Iris version of Dior Homme, not to be confused with Dior Homme 2020, which is much more about woods. If you're an Iris fan, which I am, and if you've already smelled the original Dior Homme fragrances, you already know what this is. This fragrance is absolutely stunning. It is a new favorite of mine. I just got this recently, and when I was testing it out on my skin, and also I kind of wore it for work last week to really give it some wears and try it out in that type of environment. And I gotta say, it has instantly become a favorite in my collection, and a fragrance that I am actually going to wear to work very frequently. This features lavender, sage, bergamot, cocoa, iris, amber, cardamom, vetiver, leather, and patchouli. I'm a big fan of Dior Homme Intense, which is all about the makeup lipsticky iris, to me also having kind of a chocolatey undertone, and it's a lot more focused on just that. This one has a lot more stuff going on by way of citrus and aromatics, so I get a kind of a soapy cleanliness from this, I think coming a little bit from the lavender, along with that nice iris where it's just not as rich as say a Dior Homme Intense. So that makes it a little bit more suitable for an environment where you want to be a little bit more reserved. Not a massive projector, not a super huge performer, but that's okay. I get 6 to 7 hours out of this, which is typically going to be more than enough for a work day, unless it's a really long work day. And once it dries down, like I said, it kind of sits a little close to the skin at that point, but I still can pick it up nicely. I kind of like to spray this on clothes as well. It really seems to fit well with fabrics, and it certainly is not gonna ruin, it's not dense enough to like ruin your clothes or anything, unless you got on a white shirt. You might want to just double check, but I don't think it would stain or anything. But great office scent. You're just gonna smell clean and elegant and well put together, and I like that in office style fragrances for my selections. So Christian Dior Homme Original, great office fragrance, great fragrance to wear in really a lot of other situations when you want to just smell real put together. That's the office fragrance for this list. Okay, and the next category is the night out, the evening wear fragrance, where you've done your deeds for the day and now you just want to go out and have a good time, or maybe if it's even a nighttime formal event, whatever the case. Evening wear fragrance is the category. Coming from the house of Xerjoff, this is Alexandria II. Xerjoff Alexandria II. For me, this one is all about oriental spices, a little bit of fruitiness on the top, and a very nice oud wood dry down. Not kind of barnyard oud, just woody oud. And man, I love wearing this fragrance. I actually wore it last night. I love the way it makes me feel. There's kind of a fizziness I get from it. That might be coming from some of the spices. There is cinnamon in this, but I love wearing this. This features lavender, rosewood, apple, cinnamon, Bulgarian rose, cedarwood, lily of the valley, amber, Laotian oud, Thai oud, sandalwood, musk, and vanilla. This fragrance has been out for a while. It is well known in the community as a very popular release from the house of Xerjoff. That being said, most people are still not walking around smelling like this. So you're gonna stand out, you're gonna stand on your own. It's very pleasant. You're gonna draw some positive attention from this. You know, I wouldn't necessarily call it a compliment beast, but you know, it could be a conversation starter, especially if you're dressed up really nicely and you're wearing this just nicely and people get a whiff of it in the air. I think they will enjoy it. Like I said, the oud in this is not that kind of poopy barnyard oud or anything like that. It's just a nice woody base to it, mixed with some spices and a little bit of fruits. And like I said, off the top, there's a little bit of freshness, and I get kind of a fizziness through it throughout the wear of the fragrance. I think mostly coming from like the cinnamon and the saffron. Love wearing this. Great nighttime fragrance. Lasts a long time, so you know, maybe for evening wear you don't have to go super heavy on the sprays. It projects really nicely off my skin, so I don't think it's one you have to spray heavy anyway, but it's a great evening wear fragrance, very elegant, very classy, and just a pleasant fragrance to wear. Alexandria II from Xerjoff, great nighttime evening fragrance for a small 5-bottle collection. All right, and last but not least, we have come to the wild card category, the category of the fragrance that you just have in your collection because you love it. Doesn't really matter what kind of occasion you want to wear it for, you just have it because it's something you really enjoy. For me, this is going to be Parfums de Marly's Haltane. Parfums de Marly's Haltane, I love this fragrance, I love the bottle, I love the color scheme. Oh yeah, you're gonna get a little bit of sweetness from this, a lot of woods, and a little bit of spice. Very great release from the house of Parfums de Marly. This features clary sage, lavender, bergamot, saffron, praline, cedarwood, elderwood, musk, oud, patchouli, vetiver, and leather. This one very much has an oriental touch to it. There is oud in it, but once again, it's not really super poopy or barnyardy or anything like that. It is a little bit deeper to me than, say, what was in Alexandria II, but there's a lot of other stuff going on in this that kind of pushes the woody nature of it forward. I love the leather in there. It's not a very forward leather. It just kind of adds a little bit of a punch to it. This is very similar to Inicio's Oud for Greatness, but I think the masculine style of notes in this fragrance have been turned up in this one. The praline is also in there. It's very nice. Not super forward, but it just adds kind of a candied feel to it. I really love wearing this fragrance. I think it's an absolute knockout from the house of Parfums de Marly. I hope to see more solid men's releases like this in the future. You know, a lot of these houses, even some of the niche ones, seem to be a lot more focused on kind of fresher, cleaner fragrances, and nothing wrong with them, and I'm not saying they're not good, but I like fragrances like this that are deep, rich, alluring, mysterious, have a lot of dark notes like heavy woods and leathers and things like that. So for that reason, I put this as the wild card fragrance, the fragrance I just absolutely love, because I really do love this one, and I'm happy to put it into this list, and it's definitely going to be a fragrance that's going to stick around in my collection. So once again, this is Parfums de Marly's Haltane. That is the wild card fragrance that I love in the 5-bottle collection. All right, guys, that is it for today's video. That's a 5-bottle fragrance collection. This was part 2. Remember, at any given day, I could change this list around, and this is obviously something that's going to be different for every person out there. But to me, I think it is worth thinking about putting a list like this together and using stuff that's gonna set you apart a little bit, but at the same time, it should be stuff that you truly enjoy. And at the end of the day, if you really enjoy fragrances that a lot of other people have, then who am I to say that that's something you shouldn't wear? This is just my opinion. These are just my choices. And I think this is a solid 5-bottle collection that covers the basic needs as it would pertain to my life. Guys, let me know down in the comments if you had to put a 5-bottle fragrance collection together, what are some of the ones you might consider putting in this list? You don't even necessarily have to use the categories I use today, because that can be different for anyone. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share the video if you think someone might enjoy this content, and I hope to see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Wheel, and I hope you have a wonderful day.